On this episode of MythBusters, buckle up for thrills, spills,
oh crap,
and chills.
I can't feel my fingers.
First, Adam and Jamie go all out for some spy car combat.
Oh, I got you. Oh yeah, you want some of this?
Testing whether wheels of misfortune
Not enough here.
and hood-mounted machine guns really work.
Swerve all you want, man. I can follow you.
Meanwhile, Carrie, Grant, and Tori get in a spin
MythBusters on ice.
as they find out if a bullet fired into a frozen lake can really spin like a top.
Now see, there's no string here.
It's a story that starts in San Francisco
I don't see any spinning bullets.
but ends in a bitter battle as the MythBusters take on Mother Nature.
The next myth is in the Bahamas, right?
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
Wow!
And Jamie Heineman.
All right, it's party time.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Grant Imahara,
For science.
Carrie Byron,
Right tool for the job.
and Tori Belleci. They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, buckle up for some spy car carnage.
Spy Car Revenge.
Spy Car Revenge?
Yeah, the original Spy Car was all about defensive weapons a spy might have in his car that could foil someone who's chasing him. Spy Car Revenge is about offensive weapons a chaser would have to disable a car he's chasing.
What'd you have in mind?
I've got two things. The first one, spiky things that come out of the hubs of their wheels and tear up their opponent's cars while they're driving next to them.
Nice. What's the other one?
Guns mounted on the hood of the spy's car.
That's very cool. Let's start with the spikes first.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm all oiled up and ready to go.
In Spy Car Round 1, the guys evaluated evasion antics with mixed success. But this time, it's out with escape and in with attack. But can hood-mounted guns and hub-mounted wheel spikes really work first time, every time?
So, wheel spikes. There are tons of movies that have used that trick. We can't do all of them.
No, we can't. I think we should boil it down and pick two.
Well, there's a classic in Goldfinger. It's really simple. We've got to do that one.
And there's a really pretty nicely complex one in the Green Hornet I'd like to try out.
Sounds like we've got a plan.
I think we do.
And it's a plan that starts with a delivery for MythBusters' very own Q.
This car is going to be our chase car. When I'm done with it, it's going to be a vicious and aggressive car. In fact, I think I'm going to call it Slash, because that's what it's going to do.
With Slash sitting pretty, Jamie begins by building the first of the two wheel spikes, the deadly device from Goldfinger.
It's pretty simple, really. All it has is a blender-style blade, like this one that I cut out on the plasma cutter, attached to the end of a post. So I'll weld this on here like so, weld on the hub piece, and then sharpen the blades.
As slashers go, it's certainly simple.
Looks about right to me.
But will the chromoly steel be strong enough to not buckle under pressure?
Ouch!
Meanwhile, Tire Slasher 2 is anything but basic.
The Green Hornet device is a little more complicated. It has a bunch of spiky finger-like things that are welded to a central hub like so. Now, I've mocked all this up in wood so that I can get the geometry right. And then all I have to do is cut a bunch of steel pieces out like this, weld them all together, and I'm done.
In that case, let's cut to the chase, literally.
You ready to do this?
Are you ready to get slashed up?
Haha! You just try and catch me.
Enjoy it while it lasts, buddy.
While Adam spins out for no reason other than because he can, Jamie gets on with the odd job in hand, attaching the Goldfinger Slinger.
This blade looks pretty nasty, and I'm positive it'll take out an Adam's tire. but when it comes to meeting something stronger like his wheel or steel parts of the body, I'm not so sure, because this is a pretty long lever, and that means it could get bent. Now, with that in mind, I did make this out of chromoly steel, which is very, very strong, but what it actually does, we're just going to have to try it to find out.
And to do just that, the guys are establishing some very precise rules of engagement.
This story is all about how much damage Jamie's spikes will do to my car. I'm not going to avoid him. I'm going to drive at a constant speed while he pulls up and does as much damage as he can.
So, from the green flag, the two cars will accelerate to 40 miles an hour. When they hit the red flag, Jamie will engage the weapon into the driver's side of my car. He'll have 500 yards to inflict as much damage as he can.
My prediction? I don't think this Goldfinger spike is going to do much more than carve up the side of my car. I don't think it's going to take me out. Dude, nice Goldfinger spike.
Pretty nasty, huh?
Totally.
Are you ready for it?
Absolutely.
With the first spike locked and loaded, let's get the show on the road.
Okay. Goldfinger spike. In 3, 2, 1.
Both cars accelerate towards the red flag of the engagement zone. And once there, the carnage can begin. Jamie's first bump tears through the car door. The second shreds the tire like the proverbial knife through butter. And that loss of traction brings Adam's car to a slow stop.
You all right there, little buddy?
You totally disabled me.
Meaning that for the James Bond simple spike, it's pretty much mission accomplished.
Wow. Dude, that is beautiful. That was crazy effective.
Yeah, it sliced right through the rear of the car and went into the tire. No problem.
That was a hell of an adrenaline rush. I have never been in a purposeful accident. Especially not one where the person I was driving next to wanted to cause damage to me. Oh, that's really scary. My leg is right on the other side of this. Check that out. And it took out this tire magnificently. I had no idea that this method would be this effective.
Test 1's low-tech specs were a steely success. But can its more elaborate counterpart do any better?
Given the success of the Bond spike, you'd think that this monster would be a shoo-in, but I'm not so sure. It's much more complicated. There's more stuff to go wrong. Sometimes size isn't everything.
But will this be one of those times?
Right.
Now let's roll test 2.
Dude, from here, those spikes look sick.
Well, are you ready to feel the touch?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, Green Hornet in 3, 2, 1.
Like last time, the guys carefully accelerate. Because they want to know if the weapon works, not how easy it is to deploy.
All right, I'm at cruise control, going at 40. Here he comes. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, no.
Oh no is right. Any hope that this weapon's sting would be harmless is immediately abandoned.
Crap. Oh, 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 oh. Come on, let's have some more. Come on.
Despite Adam's fighting talk, one bump later, and his journey's brought to a premature end.
What did you do to me? Another successful destruction. Insane.
I think I'm getting a little better at this as I practice.
Yeah, you took that tire out pretty handily.
Yeah, I went in right about here and then started to go back until I hit the tire. I heard the bang.
Awesome.
The Green Hornet spike made mincemeat of Adam's car, opening it up like a sardine can and shredding the tire to pieces.
Oh, no.
But Jamie's not convinced.
Personally, I think this one is more show than anything else. I mean, it did take out the tire and it messed up the side of the car, but it really didn't do any more damage than the Bond one did.
Jamie's got a point, because both wheel spikes did more or less the same damage.
That felt like I got hit by a power tool.
And both brought Adam to a complete stop.
Oh, I lost all power.
But Jamie thinks there is room for improvement.
Both of our movie spikes work pretty well. The thing is, they're really pretty much just fancy tire poppers, because who cares if you put scratches or holes in the sheet metal? It's not really going to stop the car. Makes me wonder, though, what would?
And that's a thought that should have Adam very, very afraid. Next up, it's time to spin out.
Okay, so our next myth is based on a video clip that was sent in by a viewer, and it's kind of weird.
Ooh, do you still have the video? I want to see it.
Okay, not like that. There's a guy on a frozen lake bed with a bunch of his buddies shooting a 9mm into the ice, and somehow they get their bullets to just spin like a top.
Now that sounds like a myth.
And that's exactly why we're testing it.
It's no myth that a bullet fired from a handgun spins at over 80,000 RPM. But can a bullet fired into a frozen lake really spin like a top?
Now see, there's no string here.
In other words, is this video the real deal, or is this myth on thin ice?
Look, I gotta say, I got my doubts about this one. Yeah, I know. This looks pretty bizarre, but I think it's worth testing.
I agree, but where are we gonna find a frozen lake bed? It's the middle of summer.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I think we've got to build our own frozen lake.
We've done crazier.
Yeah, and we should definitely try 2 different shots. Maybe we'll shoot one directly into the ice and then one as a ricochet and see if one of those gives us a spinning bullet.
Okay, let's do it.
But before anyone spins out, Tori's getting to grips with a gun grip or ransom rest, because for this myth, geometry is key.
Now, if this myth is true, the key element here is finding at which angle to fire the gun into the ice. So, I have my gun, I have my ransom rest. Now what I need to do is build a holder that is adjustable so we can fire at the ice at different angles.
Finding the right angle is vital. Too straight and the bullet will deform and not spin. Too shallow and the slug will skip off the ice and be lost forever.
Now, found out a little bit more about the shooter in the myth. Now, he's about 6 feet tall and shot about 6 feet in front of him. So, since Tori's 6 feet tall, I'm gonna have him stand in for the shooter. Okay, Tori, put your feet right at the line. I'm gonna have him hold the gun and aim at 6 feet. Here's a laser pointer to help you find the 6-foot mark. Then I'm going to check the angle of the gun and the distance it is from the ground. Okay, that is about 42 degrees. And let's see what the height is. About 44.5 inches. With that information, we can put our ransom rest in the right place to get the results we're looking for.
Now we know where to set the ransom rest.
Well, at least where to start.
Yeah.
Knowing where to start is a start. And with the shooting rig ready to fire, they're off to take aim at this myth.
We're on the rifle range at the Chabot Gun Club, so we can recreate the circumstances of the spinning ice bullet.
In the myth, this event takes place on a frozen pond in the middle of winter. But because it's the middle of summer and we're in Northern California, frozen ponds are not in plentiful supply.
All right, bring in the ice!
But what we're gonna do is create our own using 9 40-inch by 24-inch by 10-inch thick solid ice blocks.
Okay, there we go.
MythBusters on ice.
All right, maybe not.
Putting those all together, and hopefully that amount of mass will be enough to create a spin.
It's certainly a large slice of ice, and the next best thing to a frozen lake.
Is it bad if you can't feel your fingertips?
They said this would be a cool myth. I didn't believe them.
Look at that, instant frozen lake.
I wouldn't say instant.
Good point.
So you'll notice that we've set up a frozen lake with a smaller ice cube in front of it. Now that's because if you watch the video, it's hard to tell if the bullet spins in a direct hit on the ice or via a ricochet. In other words, does it hit and spin, or does it hit, bounce, land somewhere else, and then spin?
Well, in search of said spin, the team's first going for the direct hit approach, firing straight into the ice cube with this.
What I have here is a Glock 9mm. Now this is the gun apparently used in the myth. We're about to fire a bullet into the ice to see if it will actually spin like a top. I can't wait to see what happens.
The Glock is positioned in Tori's angle finder to 42 degrees, and then it's go time.
Okay, so we're gonna fire and then look and listen for any sort of spinning bullet.
All right, this is spinning bullet at 42 degrees.
In 3, 2, 1.
The gun fires, the ice shatters, but what happens to the bullet?
Well, we hit the ice, but no spinning bullet.
Yeah, look how much it fractured.
I bet it's right in there.
Carrie's spot on. The bullet hit the ice and simply embedded itself deep inside, where a spin is out of the question. But undeterred, the Mythbusters decide to try again.
All right, gun is loaded, we're hot.
Let's do this.
Round 2. 3, 2, 1.
It's another 42-degree hit, but with the same result.
I don't see any spinning bullets.
But all is not lost.
Okay, we're 0 for 2, but you know what? That's fine, because it doesn't always work in the viral video. Not every shot yields a spin, so we can't call it just yet.
In 3, 2, 1.
Test 3 also has nothing akin to a spin. But when they recover the round, there is cause for cautious optimism.
Oh my gosh, but look at this. The bullet has not deformed, which means there might be some truth to this myth. That could potentially spin.
But with test 4,
where is the elusive spinning bullet?
5,
it's not here.
6, and 7 also failing to spin out, that optimism soon melts away.
Sun's coming out, the lake's melting, still no spinning bullets.
Meaning it's time for a plan B.
So the direct hit experiment isn't really giving us anything. So we're gonna change our firing angle and try for the ricochet. We're going to fire into the ice block and hope to catch the spinning bullet on the larger frozen lake. This is not gonna be easy.
So far in the spy spike department, we have tested the Goldfinger spike, which did this kind of damage. We have also tested the Green Hornet spike. Oh crap, oh no! Which did this kind of damage. Oh, that's great! Now apparently, Jamie's rigged up some kind of special Heinemann sauce to come at me with one last time.
Even though Adam was psyched by the spikes,
I'm going home.
Jamie saw room for improvement.
I don't think he's going to make it very far.
So he slipped back to the shop to conjure up a wheel of misfortune straight from the Heinemann House of Horrors.
I think that'd hurt another car if you drove into it.
And back at the runway, with nuts tightened, it's time to put it to the test.
This design is about the worst thing I could come up with. What's different about it is that the other designs all had relatively long, skinny shafts with a cutting blade on the tip. And those shafts could bend. The little blades that were on the tip could also bend or dull relatively easily, and they did. Whereas this has this massive base that's very strong. So I reckon this will go right into the car and just keep on cutting without damaging itself.
You are one sick puppy.
Ruff.
That is messed up. How damaging do I think Jamie's slasher is going to be to my car? Well, let me put it this way. We've bolted it to the side of Jamie's car that will affect the non-driver side of my car. That's how afraid we are of its destructive power.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay, the slasher. In 3, 2, 1.
For the final time, the Mythbusters motor down the runway until the red flag signals the bullish Jamie to charge. Straight away, he takes out Adam's rear tire. Then he slices and dices along the whole side.
Oh! Come on, Jamie, I can take more.
With Adam at his mercy, Jamie goes in for the kill. And rips the entire front tire clean off.
Not enough!
Leaving only one possible outcome.
That was too much fun! Woo! That fulfills like a deep childhood fantasy. I want another car. I want to do this again.
It was a heavy metal massacre in the truest sense of the word.
I gotta see this.
I think I messed your car up a little bit. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what I was thinking.
That is a horror. Where's my tire? My tire is not there. That was like the amusement park ride from hell. First, he takes out this tire. Forget about what he does to my door. I saw glass like fly up, like popcorn. Then he removes my entire front tire. I wouldn't have said that was possible. If you told us we had to do that, we would have said, it's really unlikely. And his spike still looks perfect.
I'd say my spike was pretty effective. I mean, there's not a whole lot more that you could do to the side of a car. Not only did I pop the tires, but I completely removed them. The car can't move at all now because the chassis is sitting on the ground, in fact. It worked a little better than I thought it would.
Final analysis of wheel spikes as a viable method of taking out an opponent while driving. Everything we tried worked better than we thought it would.
That means it's confirmed.
Totally confirmed. Let's get out of here.
With Spy Myth 1 a slashing success, it's time to bring out the big guns. Is this firearms film the real deal? Or just bullet baloney? Can a slug really spin like a frozen top?
3, 2, 1.
Well, the MythBusters' direct hit approach was shot down.
I don't see any spinning bullets.
So it's time to modify the method.
So far, the direct shot did not work. So we're gonna move on to the ricochet, which brings into play our larger frozen lake bed. What we're gonna do is lower the angle of the shot, hopefully allowing the bullet to skip off the ice onto our frozen lake bed, and we'll see if we can get that bullet spinning. Sounds easy? It won't be.
So it may sound to you like we're trying to find the equivalent of a needle in a haystack. But we actually have information from the guy who supposedly did this. And what he told us is that every time he tried it, the bullet landed between 2 and 8 feet from the point of impact with the ice. We have a 10-foot slab of ice out there. Surely that's gonna be enough to find that bullet somewhere in there.
Well, to find out, they're starting by using a ricochet-friendly angle of 30 degrees.
Hoping this works. In 3, 2, 1.
It's a clean hit, but the bullet's gone AWOL. It's not on the pond, nor in the cube.
Wait a minute, that's good news, because the bullet isn't in there. It did ricochet, I don't know where it went, but at least it popped out.
Right.
The high speed confirms that on the one hand, they did get a ricochet. But on the other, the bouncing bullet did not land on their leg. So they reset for try 2.
All right, let's go before spring comes.
But again, the bullet disappears.
The good news is we got a ricochet. The bad news, we can't find the bullet anywhere. It's nowhere on the lake bed. So that's why we have this. This backboard with the white paper is gonna tell us. If the bullet hits this, we'll know exactly where it goes.
All right, we're hot.
That's the theory.
Is this the magic formula?
But in practice,
1.
even the ricochet catcher doesn't catch the ricochet.
So it must be firing way over our backboard.
So next, the team wrangles the angle. But whether it be high,
All right, we are loaded 45 degrees.
1.
low,
31 degrees.
or somewhere in between,
All right, we are locked and loaded at a 38-degree angle.
the ricocheting round never lands on the lake.
And I don't see a spinning bullet.
I don't see the ricochet at all.
Anything?
Backboard's clean.
You know, we can be here all day.
We have been here all day.
And what a frustrating day it's been. But without finding a single ricochet, it's just not possible to call the myth one way or the other.
We've been experimenting all day to find the perfect conditions to create the mythical spinning bullet. Now we have the right temperature of ice, the right hardness. Unfortunately, we have an extremely unpredictable ricochet. We can't find where the bullet lands. Now, we've created the biggest frozen pond that we possibly could in summer with all of the available ice that we could source. We need to go bigger. We need something a little more naturally huge and frozen.
In Spy Car: The Revenge, wheel spikes were a rip-roaring success.
Not enough yet.
So now it's on to secret agent anecdote number 2.
Car-mounted guns.
Yes, I've been saying this for years, that car-mounted guns for a spy car don't make any sense to me. They're fixed. You cannot aim them except by driving. That's got to be a huge inefficiency for a machine gun.
Well, I have seen some that are remote-controlled and aimable, though.
Those are in the minority, but I have seen them, so I think we should build a rig that gives us both. I chase you with fixed guns on my hood, and then we can do a second one where I chase you with a remote control aimable gun mounted to the hood of my car.
Sold.
The hood-mounted gun is a staple for any spy car, but is it a viable weapon? Can such a device, fixed or movable, really guarantee an accurate aim? Well, to find out, Adam's already selected his wheels and his weapon.
This is a former police car, and this is a super high-end 10 round per second paintball gun. I'm gonna join these two things together to make two great tastes in one candy bar.
Fabricating the fixed firearm will be a weld in the park. But the remote-controlled firer is a much tougher task.
So for the aimable gun, I need to first build a mount that will let the gun move in 3 dimensions so I can fire at Jamie's car wherever it might be. There's the basics right there. Up, down, side to side. Then I'm gonna add a joystick system so that I can control the gun's aim from inside the car while driving. That's XY control. Next comes the all-important trigger, so I'll be able to shoot up to 600 rounds per minute. I press this, it ought to fire. That's remote firing. Finally, I'm going to add a camera onto the mount and a monitor onto the dashboard so I can see exactly where I'm aiming. This camera is what turns this from something cool into something awesome. Jamie, come here, check it out.
Wow.
Push, 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 push. In your face!
That looks great. Actually, I should say, it looks like crap, but it works great.
And with those words of encouragement, Adam gets on with the final part of his firearm. A frame that should feed a plethora of paintballs into the gun. It's not pretty, but will it work?
Oh, I got you! I got you! Oh, yeah! You want some of this? You want a little piece of this? You want some more? Hey, do you want some? Do you want some? You so wish you were me right now.
All right, so where do we stand?
Well, we've got 2 issues. 1, we can't get a spin from a direct hit, and 2, we can't find a ricochet.
Not only that, this is supposed to be easy. I mean, in the video, the guy shoots, he gets spinning. That's not what we found at all.
Not so fast. Check this out. You're not gonna believe what we found. Now, the cameraman was going through some of the footage. Now listen, can you hear that? I don't know what that is, but it could potentially be a spinning bullet. I mean, we can't see it, but we can definitely hear something.
Okay, well, that brings this myth back from the dead. I think we should definitely stick to our plan.
And the plan being, we wait until winter and try this again on an actual frozen lake where we might have a chance of this working.
All right, let's reconvene in 6 months.
So after a summer spent crashing, smashing,
Well, that didn't suck.
and splashing, the team is back for Spinning Ice Round 2. And this time, they're augmenting the audio.
Hearing is going to be key to finding the spinning bullet. So I want to come up with a low-tech way to amplify my hearing. So I'm going to make cones that are going to be able to like muffle out all the peripheral audio and directionally be able to give me that little buzzing sound of the spinning bullet.
You know what else we could use it for?
What?
Oh, go sit in the corner.
So while Carrie's going old school, I like to bet on the tech. This device right here is a parabolic reflector. It captures the sound waves and focuses them on a microphone in the center, which is then amplified. Surely, this will be able to hear a spinning bullet from across a frozen lake.
While Grant and Carrie get their ears to the ground,
Did you say kumquat?
That's awesome!
Watermelon, this definitely works.
Tori's been busy with the science of the spin.
Now, if these bullets are actually spinning on ice, and it's not just a hoax, one of the reasons why this might be happening is it's acting like an ice skate. When the blade hits the ice, it melts the ice, creating a water barrier to allow the skate to move across the ice. This might be happening with the bullet. The bullet hits the ice, the heat from the bullet is melting the ice, creating a vapor barrier, and the spinning is coming from the rifling of the gun. So when it hits the ice, it spins just like a top. And that's why this myth might have some merit.
That's the theory, and once the ear devices sound ready,
Hippopotamus!
it's time to put it to the test. From the San Franciscan sun to a blizzard in the Sierra Nevada, this winter the team is going that extra mile.
Save yourselves!
Rumor has it there's a lake out here.
I think it's over there.
Yeah, this looked a little more picturesque in the brochures.
All right, so what I have behind me is a frozen lake. I know, it doesn't really look like it. It looks more like a snowfield. We're at 7,900 feet. The temperature is 10 degrees. This is exactly what we need to test this myth. The only problem is we're in the middle of a snowstorm. I'm freezing my off.
Our next myth is in the Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
Despite Tori's optimism, the temperature of his nether regions is certainly not the only problem.
Look, so building our own frozen lake was problematic, but compared to this, it was child's play. Here is what we're up against. Our blast shields, which we left out overnight, are now buried under 6 feet of snow. Our paramedic can't get here because the road's closed, but worst of all, the lake is buried under 3 feet of snow, which means before we do any shooting, we've got to dig to get down to the ice.
And as the weather goes from bad to worse,
I've already dug 2 feet. I haven't even seen ice yet.
that digging gets harder and harder.
It's like we keep digging it out, and Mother Nature just keeps filling it back in.
So Carrie brings in reinforcements.
Since we're digging at high altitude and fighting 40-mile-an-hour gusty winds, we've decided to bring in a few helpers, like the sheriff who lives up here, and maybe a few others.
With all hands on deck, the team exposes enough ice before anyone gets exposure.
All right, so the good news is, if you can call anything good news in these kinds of conditions, we found the ice. So now we're ready to start testing. Now remember, this myth is about shooting a 9mm into a frozen lake bed and finding the bullet spinning like a top. Seems kind of counterintuitive to fire into the ice that you're standing on, but I mean, this isn't MythBusters.
We've gone to great efforts to make this myth work, including getting high-tech hearing devices, low-tech ear trumpets. But as you can see by the horizontal snow zooming past the camera, there is a huge amount of wind, and that is all we're going to hear in those hearing devices. So, we're going old-fashioned. We're running, we're listening.
But will that technique be good enough to locate the mythical spin?
All right, this is Spinning Ice Bullet in 3, 2, 1.
At an abandoned military base, Adam and Jamie are about to unleash the beast.
It is a perfect day for chasing.
And shooting.
Indeed.
As they test whether a spy car's hood-mounted howitzer can ever be accurate.
Oh, yeah! Great thing!
But first up, like all good spy scientists, they're starting with a control.
As long as we're shooting between cars, we thought it would be a good idea to start with a baseline, the most common way you see people shoot between cars in the movie, in which during a car chase, the driver of the chasing car will start firing at the person that he's chasing. In this case, I will be that driver, and this will be my handy service revolver, and Mr. Heineman, well, he'll be my grizzled partner.
And last but not least, police driver Brian Fraser will play the target. in a car that has been specially modified for the role.
Unfortunately, we can't use real bullets for these tests. So with that in mind, we've removed the rear windshield because those paintballs will be able to pass clean through just like a bullet would. And if they hit, then they'll show up like so on the helmet. We've also painted the rest of the car a light gray so that we can see that same orange paint. And we've covered the wheel wells so that, well, the paint won't sling off the tires.
With everything primed, it's time to lay down a benchmark of point and shoot that the spy gun can then aim to beat.
Okay, this is shooting the gun out the window. Brian, you may escape when ready. Oh, it's on! Oh, okay.
Adam will have one clip or 14 bullets to take down the target.
It's hard to drive one-handed, I'll tell you that.
As Brian dodges and weaves, Jamie keeps a tally of how many rounds Adam's let rip.
4.
And how many have hit their target.
Come on, 12. You haven't even hit the car yet.
It's fair to say that this is a lot harder than it looks. Can Jamie do any better?
Well, you want to go?
Yeah.
All right, we got 14 shots. All right, now I'm gonna get on it.
Let's see what I got. If you're talking shooting handguns out of a car, obviously the driver could do it.
You gonna let him get away? Come on!
But he's got other things to worry about, like driving the car.
That's 4 shots.
So for my money, I think the passenger is going to have better luck at it.
7, 8, 9.
It's a logical idea in theory.
11.
But in practice, Jamie is also finding it devilishly difficult.
13. Okay, one more shot. We make this count.
With only one shot left, Adam gets closer than ever.
I'm gaining on it. Here we go.
Jamie focuses. But all he hits is the bumper.
14, dude. That's your whole magazine. That's it.
We're done.
Firing the handheld gun out of the car proved to be far from ideal. It was more difficult than you would think. Now, not to say that it couldn't be done, but we were not able to stop the car or kill the driver.
Which begs the question, can the spy-inspired front-facing machine gun do any better?
This test is with the machine gun in a fixed position. What do I think is going to happen? Well, I've actually been saying this for years, and it's the reason I always wanted to do this test. I don't think I'm going to be able to be very effective at hitting Jamie. I've always thought that fixed machine guns on the hood of a car was a stupid idea.
Stupid, because as Target Jamie explains, they only fire straight ahead.
Now, Adam's goal is to take me out, and that means that he has to hit me in the head or he has to hit the tire of the car. Now, given that he's got no subtle control, it's only done by aiming the car, I think it's going to be almost impossible.
All right, Mr. Heineman. You may start whenever you think you're ready.
Okay, fixed gun.
In 3, 2, 1.
Like the last test, this trial will also end when the gun runs out of ammo.
Whoa! Yeah, come to Papa.
But unlike the last test, this time Adam's got 400 paintballs to fire.
Here we go. See what you got.
At first, things pan out just as expected, as Adam fires miss after miss. Yet, slowly but surely, he starts to get his eye in it.
I might have got hit, I'm not sure.
And pretty soon, the occasional hit turns into a relentless barrage of bullets.
There's bullets all over the windshield right near me, so I'm feeling pretty shot up, actually.
No matter what moves Jamie makes, Adam nails him every time. Until he's out of ammo.
Wow. What a horror show. I think I achieved my 00 status on this run. Agent Heineman has successfully been neutralized. Not only have I taken out the mud flap, not only have I taken out the trunk,
I'm feeling the spray.
with extreme prejudice, I've also got a clean hit to the back of his seat, a clean hit to his helmet,
I might have got hit, I'm not sure.
and I've destroyed his windshield and several of his side windows.
That one hit the windshield.
So given that the gun itself couldn't move, how did Adam end up doing so well?
For the first third of the test, as I catch up to Jamie and he's swerving, it always seems that
my bullet's going over his car. And I have this epiphany. If I smack on the brakes, the front of the car goes down, and I can actually aim that way. And it turns out I can aim plus or minus like 10 degrees that way. It was fantastic. I coupled that with swerving back and forth, and somewhere around halfway through this test, I found my level and just started laying paintballs into the driver's cabin of Jamie's car. It worked far better than I imagined it possibly could without having physically tried it.
So it turns out that the non-aimable gun can aim very well, provided you drive like a super spy.
So where do we go from here? Well, I have to admit something. I went into this test with some bias in my mind. I thought that the fixed machine gun was just not gonna work. I've said it my whole life. Fixed machine guns are stupid. They can't possibly work. And that's why I made this thing fully remote control, because I figured the test would go. We tried the fixed machine gun and it wouldn't work. Then we tried the moving one and it would work. I expected that result. But the fixed one worked. We were able to make it work and I was able to kill Jamie. So do we end it here? No! This puppy moves. We're gonna move it. I'm gonna try killing Jamie again. Just for fun.
Here we are on the Capo Frozen Lake with winds up to 25 miles an hour straight in your face. We got temperature lows about -30. And let me tell you, it does not look like it's gonna let up.
All of which is making for some seriously challenging testing.
So given the terrible conditions, here is our plan. We've positioned our gun at the 42-degree angle. We are triggering it with a string pull, and then we're gonna rush in to see if we can find the bullet. And given the whiteout, I think we're also gonna montage the results.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, this is Spinning Ice Bullet in 3, 2, 1.
Run like the wind!
But unfortunately, it's another montage of failure.
Oh, here's the bullet.
But it's not spinning.
Not at all.
As hit after hit
I don't see any spinning bullets.
misses out on the spin.
I can't feel my fingers, and I can't see any bullet.
As the temperature dips to 5 degrees Fahrenheit,
2, 1.
morale is just as low.
This myth sucks.
But Tori wants to try one more thing.
Now, there's a couple of things that we think are happening. One is maybe the bullets are hitting the ice and skipping off into the snow, or maybe the bullets are hitting the ice and actually bouncing back into the snow. So what we're gonna do is change the target area closer to the center of our ice patch, take a shot and see if we can find a bullet and see exactly what is happening to these things.
With hypothermia a very real possibility, it really is now or never. Will giving the bullet room to ricochet backwards rather than forwards finally spin out?
Okay, this is Spinning Ice Bullet with room to bounce backwards. In 3, 2, 1.
Come on! I'm in it! It's spinning!
It's spinning!
Look at that!
We got a spinning bullet!
Holy crap, it worked!
It's the shot that brought this myth back from the cold.
I can't believe it worked! I can't believe we got a spinning bullet.
At last, after countless attempts, they got the spin they were after. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, if we can get one spinning bullet, that was successful. Let's do it again. In 3, 2, 1.
It's spinning! Woo! That's the second one in a row!
And when it's 3 for 3,
It is spinning!
That is continued success. We have gotten one after the other to spin.
you might say they're on a roll.
So we had to make a few adjustments on the fly. We had to play with the angle, and we pulled the gun back away from the ice. And what we think this does is lowers the velocity of the round when it hits the ice, so that you get more of a ricochet spinning and less of a glancing going off into nowhere.
It's spinning again!
We've done this over and over. This myth is confirmed.
Confirmed! I cannot believe how well this is working.
We tried creating an ice lake bed that we could shoot into back at home, but it really did take this sort of extreme weather for us to get a spinning bullet. It was all worth it. The 70-mile-an-hour winds, the 10 degrees, the frozen toes, and the Grant sickle.
And with that, it's time to get warmed up.
Where's that rescue
rescue party.
We are the rescue party.
At Spy Car Mission Control,
Come to Papa.
the forward-facing firearm just took out its target and then some.
Well, that worked beyond my wildest dream.
So what's next?
Now it's time to unlock what I thought was going to be the secret potential power of this rig, which is from inside the car, I can control an XY axis wherever this gun fires. I can put paintballs where I want to put them.
Adam did pretty well with the fixed gun, and it makes sense that he should be able to do even better with an aimable gun. But the thing is, this adds a little bit of multitasking that he has to do, so it might actually have the opposite effect.
In the locked-off test, when all Adam had to do was drive and pull a trigger, he nailed it. But in the control, where multitasking was more of an issue,
It's hard to drive one-handed, I'll tell you that.
Adam failed to fire, which doesn't bode well.
You haven't even hit the car yet.
What do I think is going to happen on this test? I felt like this was going to be a better test than the previous one before we started this whole business, but now I've been so wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if we found out it was harder.
Okay, aimable gun in 3, 2, 1.
For the final time, the guys put their pedals to the metal.
Oh, the game is afoot! Here we go!
Do your best, buddy.
Come on, Heinemann! You are mine!
Rather than unleashing bullets from the get-go, on this run, Adam bides his time,
Oh, me some Heinemann!
lining up the target thanks to his gun's camera and the dashboard's monitor.
Oh, I'm so on you!
And only when Jamie weaves into the crosshairs
Swerve all you want, man! I can follow you!
does Adam unleash hell.
Oh, the aiming is awesome! Oh, I totally got you! Look at that, I took out two wheels!
With radar-like precision, the bullets are propelled to do maximum damage.
I'm ahead.
So much so that this time, Jamie gives up the ghost,
Oh, yeah!
with Adam having fired off just 60 rounds.
Woo! That was awesome! I got you!
I don't know, did you? Is it marked on my head?
It's perfect. It's not quite a bullseye, but I got 3 beautiful shots in the back of your head. So is making my hood-mounted machine gun aimable more effective? I think the entire story is told from right where I'm standing. If you look at this car after this test and compare it to what this car looked like after my fixed machine gun test when it was riddled with paint, you can just see that this is a far more surgical and effective way to take somebody out.
Ain't that the truth? Using fewer bullets to chalk up more kill shots, the aimable gun is the winner of this Cold War.
Well, I think from all this testing, we can conclude that a machine gun on the hood of your car equals good. As a secret agent weapon, even the stationary machine gun was far more effective than I thought it would be.
Yeah, but their effectiveness seems to be largely due to the sheer volume of bullets they're able to spew out. I mean, sooner or later, they're gonna hit something.
Okay, but isn't that always the point of a machine gun?
Indeed it is, mon frere.